Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering the Song of Solomon,
either
chapters
one.
5 through 8.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
guys, it's contested still, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I think it's both.
We're gonna fight about
Good
this.
old SOS.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fight about this, and as you can see,
It's literally in the first verse. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's.
yes, but also it says the Song of Songs.
That's just a translation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No commas in Hebrew.
Well, you know what? You can suck my dick. That's what you can do.
I'd rather not.
You guys.
Also, as you can all see, Ruben's shirt is awful. Look how awful his shirt is.
It looks
incredible.
fine on the normal cameras.
It's
just my monitor.
It's just awful.
It's gonna trip everybody out.
It will on bad displays.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you have a bad display,
Trip hard.
you're welcome.
Yep.
Yeah. Either way, we're doing the Song of Songs. We're finishing it today.
Yeah, we're finishing the Song of Solomon today.
Aren't you excited? I'm excited. Yeah,
I'm
this is
so
it's a
excited.
weird book.
Well, it's like slash fiction erotica.
Yeah, it's definitely erotica. I'd put it under there.
Yeah, and it's fiction.
Yeah.
So
Wheel.
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's start of a new month, so we got a wheel. We got a t-shirt giveaway to do. If you want to be part of the t-shirt giveaway, you can become a $10 patron or more to be entered into it every month.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's spin
that wheel. I hear it. I hear the wheel.
So do I.
What's it landing on?
Is it
Tyler.
Tyler?
No.
No.
No?
That's where it started. Sorry. Take a look for yourself.
It's
It's the blue one. Can't read that.
What?
Ragabash.
Ragabash.
Ragabash
All right,
Tablar.
You win.
Congratulations. First
You win.
time for
Also,
him,
You
isn't
win
it?
a T-shirt.
Sorry,
Apologies.
Tyler.
Yeah.
We gave it to you last week. That's why I think it was still there.
Well, yeah.
Whoops.
From last time. But either way, Ragabash, you win a shirt. Congratulations.
Wonderful.
Live streaming for you.
Incredible.
Round of applause for Random Chance. All right, how about we hop into some readings today? What translation do you have?
I have the King James version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible.
We also have the Hebrew Bible, or
Bibler.
yeah, Bibler, the Hebrew Bible, a translation with commentary by Robert Alter.
And it's honestly fantastic. We also have Erdman's commentary on the Bible, as well as the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews and the New King James Version. Lots of commentaries and Bibles here.
Yep.
That's what we got for you. If we had to open a shop, it'd be called Commentaries and Bibles.
But then
The biblical
we would
commentary
someday.
shop.
sell all of our commentaries.
You'd have to buy
could
more
also-
inventory, too.
People could sell books to us.
Only Bibles and commentaries.
Well, yeah.
You just buy them, you don't sell them.
You could do both.
No, you just buy them.
Oh, all right.
Well, anyways, we're covering chapters 5 through 8 today.
Yep. And that's the end of the story, the end of their love story.
Yep. Well, it's not really much of a story.
No,
a
not really,
song.
but it's it has hints of a narrative. So you could call it a love story.
Yeah. There's hints of a narrative.
Yeah.
It's fiction. Kind of.
It's erotica. So how about we hop into the readings then?
All right.
And I do have something to at least introduce this section. So, this is from Erdman's. This is the most dramatic poem in Song of Songs, and it can be read at several levels. On its own admission, it is a dream, and it contains elements that will be familiar to many readers from their own dreams. And then once we get to verse 5, I'll expand on
How presumptuous is that?
Yeah, right. You don't know what I dream about.
No, it'll
Don't.
be... Look, viewers, it'll be familiar to you. You've dreamed about it, obviously.
Obviously. Let's
It's
hop
gonna be
into
a
it.
repeat
Yeah,
for all
okay.
folks everywhere. As you've seen this in your dreams, we apologize.
Let's hop into it. Chapter 5. I am come into my garden, my sister, my spouse. I have gathered my myrrh with my spice. I have eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I have drunk my wine with my milk. Why? Eat, O friends. Drink, yea, drink abundantly, O beloved.
I mean, I've had honey and milk. Have you not?
No, wine with milk.
Wine with my milk. Okay.
Honeycomb with honey.
Okay. No, then I don't know why.
No,
That sounds horrible.
that does sound horrible.
Yeah. Although,
Have you ever drank too much Irish cream?
Yes.
Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it?
It's pretty delicious.
Yeah, but it sucks when you drink too much of it.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
The
Alcohol and
Because alcohol.
yeah, it's like a whole bunch of alcohol and
is.
dairy, and it just like fills up space. It's gross.
Yeah, but it's so good.
It tastes good. I'll give you that.
Also, I should note that in Alter's version, just in Alter's version, really, because it's from the Hebrew. Chapter 5 starts with verse 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
yep. That's neat.
yeah. So those who read this poem, it actually has no commentary on that. Never mind.
Oh,
On the placement. It's
wonderful.
just from the Hebrew. Yeah.
Great. All right. I sleep, but my heart waketh. It is the voice of my beloved that knocketh, saying, Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my undefiled. For my head is filled with dew, and my locks with the drops of the night.
Yeah. For my head is drenched with dew, my locks with the drops of the night. So the whole open for me thing, that could obviously mean two things. I think in Proverbs, right, we had the hint of, opening for someone as a very sexual thing,
Yeah.
as is blatantly
And
obvious.
this time it's his sister.
Well, see, this one was always really weird for me, but at the end of the last episode, we covered that these were just generic terms of endearment, which I think now they're outdated, but that's what they used as a term of endearment, which they, looking back on it, I don't know if
the
they
smartest idea.
yeah. By the way, that's what they did. So, on the for my head is drenched with dew, he mentions this as a reason that she must let him in at once, so that he need not linger anymore in the heavy damp of the night. Of course, there is quite a different reason that he so urgently wants her to open the door for him.
Mm-hmm. I have put off my coat. How shall I put it on? I have washed my feet. How shall I defile them? My beloved put in his hand by the hole of the door, and my bowels were moved for him.
So my lover pulled back his hand from the latch, and my heart raced within me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I prefer.
I know you do.
Well, it's all inherently sexual here.
Yeah, let's talk
Incredible.
about this stuff a little bit. The latch part is what I have in yours as whole. This translation adopts an English equivalent for the Hebrew used by several previous translators. The literal meaning of the original is hole, a relatively large aperture into which a wooden key. Yeah, okay. Yeah, obviously it's just a keyhole. And then my heart raced within me. So there is some commentary in the translation here. The Hebrew noun means literally innards, thought to be the seat of strong feelings. The received text reads Allah, for him, but the Septuagint and many Hebrew manuscripts show Ale, literally for or upon me. And that is the reading reflected in this translation.
I rose up to open to my beloved, and my hands dropped with myrrh, and my fingers with sweet-smelling myrrh upon the handles of the lock.
This one, nothing but really sweet smelling. But so I rose to open for my lover, of course, the door or anything else, doesn't matter. My hands dripped myrrh and my fingers liquid myrrh. Yeah, and then it ends off with over the handles of the bolt. So the commentary here is the close focus of her hand on the door vividly dramatizes her eagerness to open for her lover. Perhaps those hands are even fumbling in excitement, adding another moment to her delay. The fact that she has perfumed herself, oh, that's probably the liquid myrrh thing. Okay. Suggests that she has been waiting for her lover to join her. The dripping of fragrant unguent over a lock about to be undone subtly hints at the prospect of female arousal, though no metaphorical equation is put forth. So that one's maybe it's just our dirty minds.
Up to interpretation.
Yeah. But
Sure.
Furthermore, here on verse 5. So verse 5 may express the powerlessness to perform an action, in this case, the need to open the door quickly, that is experienced in dreams. Also, the sexual overtones of some of the language may derive from sexual fantasies that can be experienced in dreams. On the other hand, dreams can contain memories of actual occurrences, and the beating of the woman by the watchman, which we'll get to in not very long. By the watchman when she is searching for her lover at night may have happened to her. In addition, the incident of believing that her lover was knocking at the door and finding nobody there may recall actual or fantasized events.
So he's conflating now that there might be some real events in this
Well,
dream.
no, because when we dream, sometimes it can just be like an analysis of a weird. You probably have a better word for it, but it can just be kind of like your brain figuring everything out that happened that day, something like that.
I think that none of this is a dream so far. Boom.
Wow.
Keep going.
I opened to my beloved, but my beloved had withdrawn himself and was gone. My soul failed when he spake. I sought him, but I could not find him. I called him, but he gave me no answer. The watchmen that went about the city found me. They smote me. They wounded me. The keepers of the walls took away my veil from me. Ooh, that's rough.
That is rough. That sucks. So the commentary and altar.
You know what she means by her veil. They stripped her.
I'm gonna read the commentary.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do. We now realize how dangerous it is for a woman to go out in the streets at night. The watchmen evidently take her for a prostitute wandering alone at night. The story of Tamar in Genesis 38, who disguises herself as a roadside whore, suggests that prostitutes in the ancient Near East sometimes covered their faces because Tamar's father-in-law, Judah, does not recognize her. In a moment, we will learn that the young woman is wearing a veil. The watchmen decide to punish her for her brazenness by beating her and humiliating her through the stripping away of her veil.
yeah. It's
a bummer.
terrible.
Yeah.
The police haven't changed over this entire period of time. Ugh. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, if ye find my beloved, that ye tell him that I am sick of love. Lovesick, probably. Yep. What is thy beloved more than another beloved, O thou fairest among women? What is thy beloved more than another beloved, that thou dost so charge us? My beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000.
Let's talk about that because we've talked about this kind of we've talked about her color before. She said that she was like black and beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Shining white and ruddy. This is a little enigmatic. Ruddy must refer to his complexion because it cannot refer to his hair, which is black, in verse 11. Perhaps the word for shining white, sa, is meant to convey a general sense of dazzling purity in his appearance. That would accord with the image of the lover as a kind of statue that is developed later in the poem. Yeah, it's definitely related to a statue in a similar way. That I think we got that before in the book, right?
Yeah, but it's racially based. I mean, she talked about her being black, him being white.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that...
You know, depending on the time this is written, I don't actually know if this is even theoretically possible. But what if it's a Greek?
Oh.
Cretan, a Mycenaean, something like that. I doubt it, but whatever. No one. I haven't really
Greek. Oh no. No, I mean it could be. She could be Greek. I don't know. He could be Greek.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Yeah. His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. His eyes are as the eyes of doves by the rivers of waters, washed with milk and fitly set. His cheeks are like a bed of spices, as sweet flowers, his lips like lilies, dropping sweet-smelling myrrh. His hands are as gold rings, set with the beryl. Some kind of gemstone.
So his that was verse 14, right?
That was verse 14a.
Okay. So his arms are coils of gold inset with ruby.
Rubies. Okay. His belly is as bright ivory overlaid with sapphires.
Yeah, his loins are fine wrought ivory with sapphire inlaid. So there is some commentary here. In contrast to his celebration of her beauty in 4:1 through 7, in which animal imagery and landscape imagery predominate, with one architectural metaphor, the second half of this poem is a cluster of images of jewels and precious substances, appropriately male in their hardness. The lover becomes a kind of statue so resplendent that it seems virtually the statue of a god. As Ron Hendel has suggested to me, this is one of the poetic features of the song that encourages allegorical readings in which the lover is in fact God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can, once you're done with verse 15, I got some stuff to say.
Okay. His legs are as pillars of marble, set upon sockets of fine gold. His countenance is as Lebanon, excellent as the cedars. Obviously, Lebanon being a source of wood.
Great wood.
Yeah.
Amazing trees.
Incredible wood.
Yeah. Giggity. So the woman's reply describes her lover beginning with his head in verse 11 and ending with his legs in verse 15. And it has been pointed out that the description draws its imagery from the description of a statue, cross-reference the description of the statue seen in Nebuchadnezzar's dream in Daniel 3:31 through 33. So that's pretty interesting. So, I mean, we can definitely come to the statue imagery by ourselves.
Right.
Because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Especially when describing the
pillars
legs,
of marble.
Yeah, and the legs made of the trees of Lebanon. So they're probably huge. I'm pretty sure that even if something wasn't completely made with gold, it was just overlaid with gold. That's how statues could have been made. I'm not like a statue scholar here. But
a statue scholar.
Yeah, I don't know. Not
you can paint something gold. You know, a lot of the old statues were painted.
That's true, yeah, in Greece, especially.
Well, anyways. His mouth is most sweet, yea, he is altogether lovely. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. And that's the end of chapter 5.
I do have a little bit of commentary here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his mouth is sweetest drink, all of him delight. The reversion to the mouth does not really violate the vertical movement of the poem downward because it is a kind of summary at the end. The beloved, having canvassed her lover's beauty from head to foot, returns to the physical sight of those kisses that epitomize physical intimacy with him and give her such gratification. Mamtakim, sweetest drink, which in modern Hebrew means candy, is in biblical usage something sweet that is drunk. As its appearance in Nehemiah 8:10 makes clear. This links the phrase with the beginning of the first poem of the song, in which the lover's kisses are better than wine. The first thing she says about her lover in the whole sequence of poems is also what she says about him, summarizing what she feels at the end of this poem. So there's that.
Groovy.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, that's the end of chapter 5.
If you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Share it to your friends, family, neighbors.
Carrier pigeons.
Carrier pigeons,
You know, large potato cannons for intercontinental flight with wedges of information crammed in there, so when it explodes, everybody can get some.
Yeah, can't wait.
Can't wait.
Yeah, to see all those carrier pigeons flying around, all for us. Yeah, I mean, we can hop into the next chapter then, chapter 6.
Chapter 6.
Yeah, and I think there might be some initial commentary on this first verse here. Mm-hmm. Where has your beloved gone, oh most beautiful among women? Where has your beloved turned, that we may seek him with you? So now they're trying to help?
6.1 is a further editorial gloss which links the dialogue between the woman and the daughters of Jerusalem back to 5.8.
And 5.8
was,
I adjure you, oh daughters of Jerusalem. Yeah, we have gotten that multiple times already.
And it says in alters, despite the chapter division, a late medieval intervention in the text, the first 3 verses of this chapter are in all probability the conclusions of the poem that began at the beginning of chapter 5. The young woman has roamed through the streets of a town in search of her lover. When she encounters the daughters of Jerusalem, they ask her what it is about her lover that they should have made her so overwrought. She responds by praising her lover. Hearing this, they ask her, well, if he's so extraordinary, where is he?
My beloved has gone down to his garden, to the beds of spices, to graze in the gardens, and to gather lilies. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. He grazes among the lilies.
So, my lover has gone down to his garden. This is an oblique reference to sexual fulfillment. Her body has been vividly equated with a garden of luscious fruit in 4:12 through 5:1.
It has been, yeah.
Yep. What she is telling them is that there's no need for them to join her in seeking her lover. She has already found him, and he has been with her in rapturous consummation. If this
rapturous consummation.
Oh, yeah. If this is a true report and not a boast or fantasy, one can reconstruct the following sequence of events, filling in the narrative hiatus between 5:7 and 5:8. After the assault by the watchman, she continues her search, finds her lover, spends the night with him. Now, on the next day, she meets the daughters of Jerusalem, who may know something about her wandering on the previous night. Momentarily, she goes along with their assumption that she is distraught because she is looking for her lover. Now, at the conclusion of her speech to them, she joyfully announces that she has, in fact, found him.
And then this next section has a title here that you might be able to expand on, Ruben.
Mm-hmm, but there's also some commentary in Eerdmans here.
Sure.
So 2 through 3, these verses may also be an editorial composition designed to round off 5-2 through 6-3 as a unit. But if so, the woman's knowledge of the whereabouts of her lover hardly agrees with her fruitless search in 5-6, nor her enlistment of the daughters of Jerusalem in this search. 6-2-3 may therefore be an independent fragment or fragments, which repeat earlier material.
So this next section is headed as Solomon and his bride delight in each other. So we talked about this in the last episode that it's not Solomon that wrote this. So if you have some commentary on this.
Some commentary on it not being Solomon?
No, some commentary on this section. I don't know if you have any.
Oh, well,
to start that off, or should I start reading?
Some of the material in this poem, in which the man addresses the woman and praises her beauty, can be paralleled almost exactly from 4:1 through 3. Thus, 6:5b through 7 is verbally identical with 4:1b through 2 and 3b, except for 2 words.
Yes, I'm kind of skimming over this right now, and it seems like we already read it. We didn't, because that would be weird.
Yeah.
So we didn't read it, but it is very, very similar.
Yeah. Tell me when you get to the end of verse 9.
You got it, buddy. You are beautiful as Tirzah, my love, lovely as Jerusalem, awesome as an army with banners.
So Tirzah was a former capital of the northern kingdom of Israel.
Yes. So, referencing those 2 cities there. Yeah. And then, awesome as an army with banners. I think there should definitely be some commentary on the army with banners thing. I remember reading over that, but maybe we'll get to it later.
You are fair, my friend, as Tisra, lovely as Jerusalem, daunting as what looms on high.
That's very different.
Yes. It says, Tirzah was briefly the capital.
Well, yeah, and then Samaria.
Right. The adjective ayuma suggests something like inspiring awe or trepidation, an emotion that a man might well feel beholding the ravishing beauty of a woman he desires. The happy solution of daunting, and daunting as what looms on high, is borrowed from the blocks. The simile, a single word in the Hebrew, kanigdalot, has perplexed interpreters. It is derived from the same root as degul, standing out, in 5:10. The blocks make an elaborate argument that this is a poetic epithet for the stars, and hence render the term in their translation as the stars in their courses.
So it could be like a host of heaven kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. That is a lovely flourish, but the term in their translation, makes the word more explicitly stellar than the Hebrew warrants, because there's no set equation between the root, DGL, and stars in biblical usage. It may be preferable to preserve the resonant ambiguity of the Hebrew. She is daunting as something grand and lofty, which might indeed be the stars, or might be the 2 cities just mentioned, both set on promontories.
Yeah, and those are grand and lofty, in fact.
Yes.
Turn away your eyes from me, for they overwhelm me. Your hair is like a flock of goats leaping down the slopes of Gilead. Yep, exactly what we read before. Your teeth are like a flock of ewes that have come up from the washing. All of them bear twins. Not one among them has lost its young. Literally stuff we've read before. Your cheeks are like halves of a pomegranate behind your veil. There are 60 queens and 80 concubines and virgins without number. My dove, my perfect one, is the only one of her mother, pure to her who bore her. The young women saw her and called her blessed, the queens and concubines also, and they praised her. And that's the end of verse 9.
So in 8 through 9, the language changes from the second person address to third person statement, and the reference to 60 queens and 80 concubines is impossible to integrate into the context. It may therefore be best to see verse 8 through 9 as a separate fragment using royal imagery to claim that if a king had 60 queens and 80 concubines, these women would agree that the man's beloved surpasses them all.
And also, it's something we've read before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who is this who looks down like a dawn, beautiful as the moon, bright as the sun, awesome as an army of banners?
Daunting as what looms on high.
I'm sure.
Zakovich proposes that at dawn, both sun and moon can be visible. In any case, the progression moves.
There are multiple times when sun and moon can be visible.
Yeah. As one would expect in biblical poetry, from pale light, the moon, to intense light, the sun. The words for both sun and moon are feminine, in contrast to their more common synonyms in earlier biblical Hebrew, and the grammatical gender makes them more apt as similes for the beautiful young woman. There's also a bit in here. If the words terrible as an army with banners are a gloss taken from verse 10, the shortened verse 4. The shortened verse 4 idealizes two capital cities as great achievements of human culture and then compares the woman's beauty with these wonders. This still leaves the words terrible as an army in need of an explanation, together with verse 10. The Hebrew verbal and adjectival forms indicate that the woman is being described. The fact that she is likened to the dawn, the moon, the sun is remarkable. That these natural objects / occurrences were also used to describe goddesses and gods in the ancient world, and that in the Old Testament, the heavenly hosts, stars, were also regarded as armies. See also Judges 5:20. Provide a clue to the background to this imagery. It is clearly mythological in origin, although we cannot know to what extent, if any, this would have registered on hearers / readers of the Song of Solomon. How aware are English speakers of the mythological background of the names of days of the week? Decently, I guess.
Decently, yeah. The internet does exist.
Yeah. What the verse appears to express is the inviolable uniqueness of the woman as an other to the man. In spite of endearing language and the desire of the man and woman for mutual openness, it is vital that the otherness of the woman should be treated as sacred. Only in this way can a relationship flourish and the familiarity be avoided that breeds contempt.
I went down to the nut orchard, of course you did, to look at the blossoms of the valley, to see whether the vines had budded, whether the pomegranates were in bloom. Before I was aware, my desire set me among the chariots of my kinsmen, a prince. So this next verse here, I have a note.
Wait, where is that?
Okay, so I just finished verse 12.
Verse 12 is the last verse
in the Hebrew.
In the Hebrew.
Yeah.
Right,
but this one does keep going for another verse.
Okay.
Which is the note here that verse 13 in, at least in the ESV, is 7:1 in Hebrew. So I'll finish that off unless you got some commentary.
I do have commentary.
Okay.
I scarcely knew myself. This is in verse 12. I scarcely knew myself. She set me in the noblest chariot. This idiom suggests ecstatic confusion, Shalom Paul has likened it to an Akkadian expression that refers to a condition of mental confoundment. She set me in the noblest chariot. The Hebrew collocation Ami Nadiv is a famous crux. Literally, it would seem to mean my people noble. The combination Nedave Am, the people's nobles, appears a number of times in biblical poetry, especially archaic poetry. For example, in the Song of the Well, Numbers 21:18, and in the Song of Deborah, Judges 5. The blocks propose amending the text by reversing the order of the two words. Zakovich reads it as having the same meaning as Nadiv Am, even though the order is reversed. The word for chariot is in the plural, but plural for singular, perhaps as an epic gesture, is not uncommon in biblical poetry. But what is the chariot? Especially given the statement of ecstasy in the first half of the line, the contention of the blocks that the noble chariot in which she places him is her body seems convincing. Retrospectively, then, we conclude that the garden of the previous verse is, like the garden in chapter 4 and above in 6:2, also a metaphor for the body.
Fair enough.
Also, the speaker of 6:11 through 12 is evidently the woman, although this allocation rests on the virtually untranslatable verse 12. And some versions,
Gray.
NEB, REB, assign the verses to a male speaker. Two problems face the translator/interpreter. The name Aminadib.
Yeah, so for chariots, instead of chariots of my kinsmen, the note here is or chariots of Aminadib.
Or, according to some ancient, it doesn't say ancient. I just added ancient. I guess now it's ancient, right? According to some Hebrew manuscripts and the ancient versions, Aminadab, and the word markebot, which is a plural of the Hebrew word for chariot. The consonants of Aminadib can be read as my people, a prince, or with a prince, or my people are noble, whereas the older versions offered a literal rendering such as chariots of Aminadib. Modern versions tend to take the Nadib out of the name to mean prince or royal or noble. Another strategy is to change the order of the letters of the word for chariots to yield a word connected with the stem barak, to bless.
Mm-hmm. And then this next verse, which is actually the beginning of verse 7 in your version.
Chapter 7, not verse 7.
Yeah, you're right, chapter 7. I'm dumb. Beginning of chapter 7. I'm just going to read it since it's in mine as part of chapter 6. Return, return, O Shulamite! Return, return, that we may look upon you. Why should you look upon the Shulamite as upon a dance before two armies? And apparently those were spoken by separate people. The first one, the first part there is, at least according to the ESV, is said by others. And then the second part is said by the man.
There's some discussion of that here. It says Shulamite. So the meaning of her name has been disputed. The most probable derivation is from Shalem, a shortened form of Jerusalem, though one should not exclude a punning association with Solomon, Shalomo in Hebrew, and with the verbal root that suggests wholeness. It says...
Have we seen a reference to Shulamite in here before? Or am I just remembering reading over that?
I'm not sure. I think you're just remembering reading over this.
Okay.
But it goes on to say, why should you behold? This seems to be the speech of a second group. The poem, then, would be composed of an antiphonal exchange between two, presumably male choruses. For the dance of the double rows, it says... why should you behold the Shulamite in the dance of the double rows? It says, or the dance of the double camps. Its choreography is beyond retrieval, but one may imagine 2 rows of dancers with the Shulamite as the star performer moving between them. The 2 rows may even be 2 choruses. The Eerdmans points out there are 2 main ways of taking this section. Most modern translations appear to separate 6:13 from what follows in chapter 7, attributing the whole of verse 13 to a chorus, or dividing it between a chorus and the man. So the chorus does, just the chorus is the NJB in their examples, and their examples for the chorus and the man are the NIV, NEB, and REB. The NRSV separates 6:13 from 7:1 by a section heading. Another view is that the Shulamite is a dancer whose costume makes possible an intimate description of various parts of her body. If 7:1 through 9 is interpreted without reference to 6:13, it becomes an intimate description of the man's lover. If the connection with 6:13 is made, the origins of the poem can be sought in descriptions of dancers on festive occasions. In 6:13, there are 3 difficulties.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a lot of issues here. So the next chapter on who is speaking, it pretty much is contingent upon how you separate verse 13.
Yeah, and it keeps going on here. In 6:13, there are 3 difficulties. The verb return, the personal name Shulamite, and the place name Manahim. Return makes little sense.
So instead of the dance before 2 armies, it could be Dance of Manahim. That was the note there.
Yeah. Return makes little sense in the context since there's been no account in the narrative of the woman departing. Other possibilities are turn around, with the implication that the woman is facing away from the speakers, or turn or twist with the context of a dance. If the latter interpretation is correct, looking upon the woman is not a physical inspection, but an appreciation of the dance. The Shulamite, the name Shulamite, is similar to and probably influenced and formed by the adjective Shunammite in 1 Kings 1:3 and 2 Kings 4:8 through 37.
Yeah, if you remember the Shunammite woman.
Many commentators have noted that Shulamite contains the consonants of Solomon, and this is more apparent in Hebrew than in English, and have argued that the woman is thus being called a female Solomon. The woman appears to reply to her admirers in 6:13b, the NIV, NEB, and REB take the speaker to be the man, asking why they want to see the Dance of Manahim. Manahim was a place east of the river Jordan, 2 Samuel 17:24, and it also means 2 camps. Whether Dance of Manahim was the name of a well-known dance, or whether it was a dance performed between 2 lines of dancers/spectators cannot be said. NRSV, 2 armies, takes 2 camps in a military sense.
Yeah, that's basically what this adopts.
Okay.
So yeah, there's quite a bit there. And that is the end of chapter 7 and the end of chapter 6 and the end of commentary on chapter 6, because that was quite a bit.
Yes, quite a bit.
Yeah,
but if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, buy us stuff on Amazon.
Yeah, all that good stuff. And you know what? Those likes, dislikes, whatever you want to drop really helps.
But do you hear that?
I do hear that. It's strange. It's new.
What is that?
It's kind of refreshing.
Sound. Ah!
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
Holy crap. Yep.
Yeah,
That happened.
it did.
That happened. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. We would have to become Christians now.
Yeah. All right. We can continue with chapter 7, I suppose, since we have Jesus' blessing.
Yeah. Okay. Chapter 7.
I guess for you, would you have to start it at the verse 2?
No. Verse 13 is in chapter 6 in the KJV.
Right, okay.
How beautiful are thy feet with shoes, O prince's daughter. The joints of thy thighs are like jewels, the work of the hands of a cunning workman. Thy navel is like a round goblet, which wanteth not liquor. Thy belly is like a heap of wheat, set about with lilies. You know, how many pieces of wheat does it take to make a heap?
1, shut up. And 2, the note on a mound of wheat. One should note that this poetics has no particular commitment to metaphoric consistency. In the previous line, the navel was likened to a finely crafted bowl. Now the belly around it is compared to a mound of wheat. Visually, the two lines trace a counterpoint between the navel's concavity and the gentle convex curve of the belly. Okay.
Thy two breasts are like two young roes that are twins. Obviously, they're quite symmetrical.
Yeah.
That was the
Right.
most direct line we've gotten in this entire thing.
Yeah.
Thy neck is as a tower of ivory. Thine eyes like the fish pools in Heshbon by the gate of Bathrabim.
Yeah, so Heshbon was a Moabite city. But also, what was your gate? What was that one?
By the gate of Bathrabim.
I have by the gate of the town of Grandes. The Hebrew Batrabim is literally daughter of the great ones, or equally possible, daughter of the many. These two words are often construed as a place name, but this translation follows the argument of the blocks that daughter is an epithet for the town. Cities are often imagined as women in biblical language. Yeah, that's true. And the Rabim has the meaning it sometimes shows elsewhere of important persons or masters. It would be in accordance with the use of parallelism in biblical poetry for the poet to introduce a poetic epithet for a place name that appears in the preceding verset.
Thy nose is as the tower of Lebanon, which looketh toward Damascus. That's rude.
It is kind of rude, yeah. But let's see what that...
I'm going to use that. Like,
your nose is like the Tower of Lebanon.
Yeah.
Even more than the image of the neck as a tower, this simile is likely to seem incongruous to modern readers, but it reflects both the value set on a long, architecturally elegant nose as a sign of beauty and the tendency of this poetry to follow the momentum of the term of comparison in the simile.
thine head upon thee is like caramel, and the hair of thine head like purple. The king is held in the galleries.
I just have R purple.
Well, I have like purple.
What is probably meant is a black sheen that has purple highlights, but the color is also chosen because argaman is associated with royal raiments, which would be an appropriate link for this daughter of a nobleman.
Yep. And we now have confirmation that Tumblr hairstyles are biblically supported.
We did it.
Yep. We did it. How fair and how pleasant art thou, O love, for delights. This thy stature is like to a palm tree, and thy breasts to a clusters of grapes. That sounds terrible. I said, they tell, have you ever bought a new shower head and it comes with a little tag that has the guide for checking for lumps?
No.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, anyways, they that's what that reminds me of. It's like clusters of grapes.
So there is a note about the grape clusters. Yeah, let your breasts be like grape clusters. As he evokes physical intimacy, the comparison moves from date palm to grapes, perhaps because of the general association of wine with kisses and lovemaking. Man, metaphors were so different back then.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
No, not at all. Well, you know what, Chris? Your nose is like a tower of Lebanon.
Facing toward Damascus.
I'm feeling it. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I said, I will go up to the palm tree. I will take hold of the boughs thereof. Now also thy breasts shall be as clusters of the vine, and the smell of thy nose like apples, and the roof of thy mouth like the best wine for my beloved, that goes down sweetly, causing the lips of those that are asleep to speak.
So there is quite a bit here before we continue on with this section. So there are probably three fragments here. 7:10 is a variation on 2:16, while 7 through 11 recall 6:11. Yeah, so you could either choose to read it as one unit or multiple units. Yes, it's a very fragmentary here. 7:10 through 13, that is.
Okay. I am my beloved's, and his desire is toward me. Come, my beloved, let us go forth into the field. Let us lodge in the village. Let us get up early to the vineyards. Let us see if the vine flourish, whether the tender grapes appear, and the pomegranates bud forth. There will I give thee my loves. The mandrakes.
That's nice. There is some commentary that I have here for verse 13. So verse 13 is probably a separate fragment, the reference to our doors hardly fitting the rural setting of the preceding verses. And then, yeah, go ahead and read the mandrakes verse.
The mandrakes give a smell, and at our gates are all manner of pleasant fruits, new and old, which I have laid up for thee, O my beloved.
Yeah, and apparently mandrakes were considered an aphrodisiac. Mandrakes were believed to assist procreation, and it can be assumed that the choice fruits had the same function. The fragment seems to speak of an ideal setting created by the woman in which she and her beloved can enjoy physical love.
Well, if that wasn't obvious enough.
Yeah, right.
But that's the end of chapter 7.
It is. Not a very long chapter at all.
And this next chapter isn't very long either.
Yeah, it's all pretty short, honestly.
Yep.
But you know what? There is a good bit of commentary on this one.
And that's the end of this particular book as well, or scroll, right?
No,
there's 12 in this, or how long is the
8?
Well, no, 8. 8 is the final one. We just finished 7.
Yes.
Right. So this is the final one.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
You said this
when you
is the
say
end.
that's the end.
Oh no!
Generally, it's at the end.
Oh no!
Chris.
I mean, this is the last part of the scroll.
Yeah.
This is
We're
this is
ending it
the
today.
last
Yeah.
last chapter.
So this poem, 8, starting with 8:1 through 4, is their section for this poem, expresses the woman's frustration that social convention would prevent her from publicly demonstrating her feelings for her lover were she to meet him in the street. It's true that elsewhere in the Old Testament there are narratives in which people demonstrate their affection publicly, but the examples hardly prove that public displays of affection between people not related were approved of.
Well, anyways, let's do chapter 8 here.
Yep.
Oh, that you were like a brother to me, who nursed at my mother's breasts.
This could...
We got a lot to unpack here.
Yeah. This could also be read as a noun phrase. A suckling of my mother's breasts.
That doesn't really answer the question we have, but let's see what else we have.
That construction would be in keeping with the logic of the biblical parallelism, where the general term in the first verse here, brother, is followed by some sort of epithet or paraphrase as the equivalent in the second. Second verset equivalents usually concretize the term that appears in the first. In this instance, we are given the sensual concreteness of the lover suckling at the breasts of the beloved's mother, which then is a kind of prolepsis of kissing or sucking the breasts of his beloved.
Yeah, metaphors were weird.
Yeah, that's gross. Come on.
If I found you outside, I would kiss you, and none would despise me.
There may be an echo of her desperate search through the streets to find her lover in 3:1-4. In the fantasy of a fraternal bond here, of course, since they are brother and sister, they are free to embrace in full public view without censure. Her desire for him is so imperative that she wishes she could have unimpeded access to his embrace, even when they're out in the streets. So I guess the brother thing is because it was socially acceptable for siblings to touch each other
in public
and make out.
I suppose.
And, all the other stuff that she's described in her poetry.
Yeah. All right, then.
I don't think so.
I don't know how accurate that is, but that is what it sounds like here. But let's continue. I would lead you and bring you into the house of my mother, she who used to teach me. I would give you special wine to drink, the juice of my pomegranate.
So
I'm guessing that could mean two things, right? The obvious, more sexual one, and then because I remember, her cheeks were likened to a pomegranate, maybe it's just like a make-out kind of thing.
So in biblical Israel and elsewhere in the ancient Mediterranean, spices were sometimes added to wine, as in previous poems in the song.
Oh, yeah, spiced wine. I said special wine, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, spiced.
The wine is a metaphor for the pleasures of love that she offers him. Also, it says here, to my mother's house, she would teach me. Though emendations have often been proposed for this verb in the received text, it makes sense as it stands in many cultures, as several commentators have argued. It is the traditional duty of the mother to instruct her daughter in the art of love. And it looks as if that is what the young woman has in mind here. That role resonates with the initial images of the fantasy in which the mother's breasts suckle the lover.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it says in Erdman's about the mother teaching her daughter how to do stuff. Being right there, watching. Man, the past sucked. Okay.
Yeah, the past did suck.
Yeah, let's continue here. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. Who is that coming up from the wilderness, leaning on her beloved?
This line, the first verset replicating 3:6a, sounds like the beginning of a poem that has been lost. The next triadic line is also a fragment lacking context.
Yeah, because it sounds really weird.
Mm-hmm. Although there are occasional brief fragments earlier in the book, two fragments in immediate sequence here may reflect a quandary of the editor as he came to the end of his collection of poems. In the material at his disposal, he had a couple of snippets of poems, perhaps on torn pieces of parchment, that he didn't want to discard because he either felt that they had authoritative status or saw them as good lines of poetry.
Yeah. Under the apple tree I awakened you. There your mother was in labor with you. There she who bore you was in labor. So yeah, this is another one. You mentioned that this part is also lacking context, and it really is. Now it kind of feels like this might fit into some field metaphor, right? But I think there is some commentary in Erdman's at least about the being under the apple tree, probably not actually an apple tree. And there's some further commentary on the lover being there while her lover is born.
Yeah, there's a bit here. The closing verses of Song of Solomon display the greatest lack of coordination anywhere in the book.
Great.
And may indicate that the editors simply added fragments to the collection. 8.5a is a fragment which recalls 3.6 without being developed in any way. Verse 5b has echoes of verses 1 through 2. The speaker is a woman, and it is thought that she was present at the birth of her beloved, something that gives her an older sister prerogative over her beloved. The connection between the apple tree and the birth can be construed from 7:13. The birth was not under the tree as such, but in a place surrounded by trees or decorated with their fruits. However, a particular tree may have been imprinted on the memory of the woman as the place where love had first blossomed.
Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. For love is strong as death. Jealousy is fierce as the grave. Its flashes are flashes of fire, the very flame of the Lord.
As fierce as Sheol is jealousy, its sparks are fiery sparks, a fearsome flame. Many modern interpreters prefer to understand the noun kin'ah as passion, but most of its biblical usage indicates jealousy, which makes perfectly good sense here. The word for flame has a theophoric suffix yah, but in this translation it follows the scholarly consensus that it is here used as an intensifier with no theological implication. This would be consistent with the rest of Song of Songs, where God is neither mentioned nor at issue in the poems.
Yeah.
The mention of death and the graves in verse 6 and the fact that the Hebrew for flashes contains the name of God, Resheph, a god of war and sickness, have raised speculation about the mythological background to this poem.
Yeah, and just as an earlier part, we're not really sure how much the readers or even the author would really get it. Like maybe it's just like one of those when we use words with theophoric elements in them.
But it's also a fragment, so
yeah, that too.
It could be anything, really. As with 610, it's difficult to know how far hearers/readers of the poem were aware of the possible mythical allusions. The point of comparing love and passion with death and Sheol is presumably to link them with the awesome power of forces, i.e. death, that humans ultimately must succumb to. The reference to flashes, describes the metaphorical heat of passion and leads naturally to the claim that the floodwaters cannot quench such fire.
Yeah, so it makes more sense once we include the next verse here.
Yes.
Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If a man offered for love all the wealth of his house, he would be utterly despised. So yeah, it's kind of, you have the flame of the Lord, that passion that you can't quench in any way.
Yeah, the many waters may have some mythological resonance as the primordial waters of creation and, as in Psalms, of the great cosmic sea. This poem differs somewhat from the others in the collection because it's less a direct address by one of the lovers to the other than a celebration of the power of love, though this does not preclude the possibility, if verse 6a is the beginning of the poem, that it is spoken by the beloved to her lover.
And then this next section is labeled Final Advice.
Yes, and the interpretation of these verses, these obscure verses, is complicated by the fact that many commentators see hidden references to what they call bride price, which they take to involve the selling of the bride. This is to misunderstand the function of bride wealth, a payment by the bridegroom or his family to the bride or her family.
Yeah, actually, they still do it in Muslim nations.
Bride wealth is often a mechanism designed to work in the woman's favor, especially if it's retained after a woman is divorced and must return to her family. The bride is never actually purchased as a chattel. If verse 9 is a declaration, well, why don't you read through verse 10, and I'll finish this commentary on
Absolutely.
this section.
We have a little sister, and she has no breasts. What shall we do for our sister on the day when she is spoken for? If she is a wall, we will build on her a battlement of silver. But if she is a door, we will enclose her with boards of cedar. I was a wall. This is a new person speaking to, by the way, at least according to this translation.
Yeah.
I was a wall, and my breasts were like towers. Then I was in his eyes as one who finds peace.
Okay.
That's weird.
Yeah.
We gotta figure out what the hell it's saying.
So, if verse 9 is a declaration by the woman's brothers that they will do all that they can to guard her chastity, this is not their calculated way of getting the best price for the sale of their sister in a marriage. They might have to return the bride wealth if her behavior was adjudged to be the reason for a marriage breakdown. It is a way of ensuring that the woman does not become unmarriageable or liable to immediate divorce. See Deuteronomy 22:13 through 19, because she has lost her virginity. Naturally, the control exercised over the woman by her brothers and the implication of an arranged marriage will emphasize to modern Western readers the difference in culture between Song of Solomon and their own world. However, the male control of women is not the last word. If these verses are spoken by the woman, with 8 through 9 being her account of what her brothers said, which she then contradicts in verse 10, then the woman has the last word. Other ways of allocating the material include assigning verses 8 through 9 to be the brothers, or verse 8 to be the brothers and verse 9 to be the woman's suitors. So there's a number of ways that you can interpret this, but
I'm sure
these lines, we have a little sister and she has no breasts. So essentially,
she's prepubescent.
She's prepubescent. They want to guard her chastity. And if she's like a wall, very difficult to get in, then they'll be happy. And if she's like a door, very easy to get in, then they'll besiege her with cedar boards. That's what it says.
This book,
I'm gonna beat her with boards.
yeah, this seems so out of character for the rest of the Song of Songs. I can definitely see why it's easy to say this is fragmentary.
Yeah.
This is probably not part of the original poem or set of poems, however you want to interpret it.
Yeah.
Solomon had a vineyard at Baal Hamon. He let out the vineyard. Yeah, he let out the
Whoa.
vineyard to the keepers.
You have the Vale of Wealth, a vineyard Solomon had in the Vale of Wealth. The Hebrew Baal Hamon definitely looks like a place name, but it's probably meant to be thematically significant. For this reason, the name is translated rather than transliterated. Baal does not actually mean vale, but is a component of many biblical place names, probably because of the Canaanite Baal was once worshipped at these places.
Also, it just, could mean Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he let out the vineyard to keepers. Each one was to bring for its fruit 1,000 pieces of silver. My vineyard, my very own, is before me. You, O Solomon, may have the 1,000, and the keepers of the fruit 200.
So, verse 14 can either be the words of the woman herself.
That was verse 12. I just read.
Verse 12.
Yeah.
Shit. She reports what's most likely a popular story about King Solomon. His
Gotcha.
vineyard at Baal Haman, an unidentified or imaginary location, was so vast and productive that the keepers to whom it was entrusted were each expected to pay 1,000 pieces of silver for this privilege. The woman's own vineyard, her lover, is superior to the legendary one, in which case the vast sums of money mentioned are meaningless.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, you who dwell in the gardens with companions listening for your voice, let me hear it.
So the conjugated verb is feminine, so we know that it's the lover addressing the young woman.
Yeah.
As with a few other nouns in the song, the Hebrew for garden shows a poetic plural. The beloved, as in chapters 4 and 5, is in the garden and is also herself a garden.
And then the last verse here. Make haste, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag on the mountains of spices.
Yep. Like so much in the song, this phrase and the Spice Mountains and the imperative verb that precedes it point in two directions. Again, the purposeful ambiguity between outside and inside, literal and figurative, is invoked. Ostensibly, she's saying that he must run away to the distant mountains, perhaps after a night of love, though that is by no means clear. But her breasts have been represented figuratively as mountains, and spice mountains, or more literally, mountains of fragrances, would be an apt designation for them. The entire line recalls 2:17, with Hare Besamim, spice mountains, similar in form to Hare Batar, cloven mountains.
It's like Space Mountain, but Spice Mountain.
Yeah.
And it means tits, maybe.
Yeah, so verse 14 can either be the words of the woman herself or the man recalling her words, which he longs to hear her utter. In either case, the book ends without an ending. The man and woman are apart, and each expresses a desire to see and hear the other, or the man does so alone.
Yeah. So kind of ends on a very bittersweet note. So now we are the ones that are left longing. She was longing that whole time, but now we are the ones waiting to hear the end of the story, but we know we never will because this was written over 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's biblical interpretation.
Yeah.
Did you like Lawrence's sermon, chat?
I hope you did. My sermon about
being the ones who are left longing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the meaning of this whole thing, that we are left longing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now we're done with that
Yeah, we are
book.
done with Song of Songs.
We've completed it. What did you think of Song of Solomon?
I mean, I didn't think it was too bad. It repeated itself a lot. I didn't think it was too bad though.
Doesn't
It was
need a
short.
Doesn't need a whole book review.
No, it does
No.
not. Definitely not.
It is the last one we read.
Yeah, I agree.
Fortunately.
Could have been.
A whole lot. Aw.
I don't know why it wasn't included in Psalms.
Well, this one is much more pointed,
Well, there's
And
different
it's
books
secular.
of Psalms.
and it's secular.
Okay, it's secular. So, secular poetry, we have 8 chapters of it. It's erotica. Yeah. So, that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't expect to have any of this or the last
I don't know
chapters in the
why.
Bible.
Yeah. Why is it in?
Well, remember we were talking about this in the first episode of when we were covering this book.
Yeah.
That a lot of people interpreted it to be like the love between God and Israel.
That's like interpreting 50 Shades of Grey as being a religious message.
Is it not?
No.
Oh, fuck.
Well,
You know what? I'm going to
you've
write a
ruined
paper about that.
movement.
Thank you.
You've ruined the 50 Shades of Grey religious movement now. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Well, I hope our viewers at least got off to it.
Yeah, we
Something.
really
I don't
hope you
know.
did.
Like-
Maybe
Maybe not literally.
maybe literally.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyways, yeah, I didn't mind the book at all. Good thing it's short.
Well, now we're going into prophetic literature,
Yeah, we are.
and we're going to have some guests.
Yeah,
next
we are.
time.
Yeah, next week we have Dr. Josh from Digital Hammurabi, and he's an Assyriologist, really good at this kind of stuff. It's actually perfect because, First Isaiah would have been written in the time of the Assyrian invasion. Yeah, so lots of exciting stuff we got coming up. Landon's going to be on the show,
you have
too.
some commentaries on Isaiah.
Yes, I have. It's actually here. We have a commentary on Second Isaiah, not on the first one. I don't actually know if I have one on First Isaiah. I'm going to read some stuff about prophetic literature in general, and some general stuff about Isaiah. But yeah, very excited to hop into this because now we're getting into more exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, we have a Patreon.
We do. We have
$1 a month. You can get all of our scripts. $5 a month. You can get Lawrence's book and future self-published books. $10 a month. You enter into that T-shirt giveaway that Ragabash Dabbler won at the beginning of this show.
Yeah.
$20 a month. You get
you can include into the Patreon hangouts, and also when we can, when we have, not only when it's a good idea to have conferences, you get a ticket to that.
Yeah. And for $50 you can be on this show or any of our weekly shows once a month.
And I think also for I don't know if it's probably $10, maybe $5. I already forget. It's all on the Patreon, but you also get included in the credits at the end of long edited videos.
You get in there at some point.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It's all on there. And if you don't want to pay us every month, you know what? We got cool shirts and they're on the Teespring. So if you don't want to do the whole monthly thing, we got.
And if you just want to make the show better, you can go on our Amazon wish list and buy us books to have on the show.
Yeah. You can add stuff to the table, or just, get us the books and we read the books and we give you the content that relates to the books.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you specifically don't want us to make content about a book that you buy for us, I guess you could tell us that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wow.
Let's see what else we got. We got a Facebook and Twitter. Free to follow us on there. Already shilled out the wish list and the Patreon and the Teespring.
Did you shill the Gmail?
No, you don't need to shill a Gmail.
Do you have a PayPal account?
Yeah, but that's where that's where the money goes to.
With the Gmail?
Yes.
Okay, PayPal, MilwaukeeAtheists@gmail.com.
Sure, why not? All right. Either way, thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Leave a like, share, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, we will see you on Friday. This thing sucks.